Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. I have been solving GMAT problem out of this book here, GMAT data sufficiency problems, that is, out of this book here, GMAT Review, the official guide, the 12th edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You should be able to find it at nba.com. Before I actually solve my next question, which is number 27 that I'm about to do, I want to quickly take a minute to talk about number 26 that I just finished. This is something that is not required for the question itself because they're not asking you to figure out how many units the company will produce in the 6 months, but I'm just curious, had it been a multiple choice question and had the question been the same question, which is how many units will this company produce in the 6 month, would you be able to answer it? So since we did most of the work, we figured out the value of the constant. That was the question here. That was the hurdle, not the question, that was the hurdle. Once we know the value of the constant, we can answer the question. The question was, what is n when t equals 6? In other words, the question was, how many units will this firm produce in the 6th month of its production? And this is formula. And we already know the C is 8. So I'm going to actually finish it up. I'm just going to take a minute to finish it up. So we put it in here, n equals 900 over 1 plus C, which we just found out is 8, over 2 raised to t, and t in our case is 6, because we're dealing with the 6th month. Now, 8 over 2 raised to 6 is same as 2 raised to 3rd over 2 raised to 6, because 2 raised to 3rd is 8, which of course is same as 1 over 8. So I'm going to take all of this thing, and replace it with 1 over 8. Now, let's take the common denominator at the bottom. So we end up with n equals 900 over 8 plus 1, and then this 8 ends up at the bottom, at the top. That's all, we're almost done. At the bottom now we have 8 plus 1, which is 9, and on the top we have 900. So this 9 cancels out with this 900, and we end up with n being 100 times 8, which is 900. That's all. That's all you have to do, which is the part that I left out. I do not know why, and it was bothering me. Number 27, page number 275, number 27. I should have given you a chance to actually look at it for a second, pause the thing and so forth. But anyway, here is this one for the first statement. And like we said before, the hurdle in that problem was not knowing the value of C. Once you know the value of the constant, you can figure out what the production is for any given month by plugging in the value for T. That's all it was. That was the whole point of the formula. Okay. Number 27. It says, when 200, again, it's important that you have the book in front of you. I should not have to keep repeating it. When 200 gallons of oil were removed from the tank, the volume of oil left in the tank was 3/7 of the tank's capacity. When 200 gallons are removed, leftover equals 3/7 of the capacity. The question simply is, what's the capacity? Now in your haste, you might end up saying, well, when 200 gallons are removed, here's the capacity of the tank. When 200 gallons are removed, this leftover capacity minus 200, they're telling me, is equals 3/7 of the capacity. That's what you might end up saying in your haste. You have to stop and think for a second, that if that were true, then there would be no need for any statement 1 or statement 2, because what you're telling me is that this is enough to figure out the value of the capacity. What you might forget in your haste is that Nowhere in this problem so far, what I have read so far, nowhere in the problem it tells me that the tank was full when we started the story. All we are told is that 200 gallons, all we are told is that when you remove 200 gallons, what is left is the 3/7 of the capacity. But did we start out with the full tank? We do not know that. You cannot take liberties. You cannot go around assuming that thing. Okay, so that's what we have to figure out from the first statement or the second statement. One of those two statements, or maybe each of them individually would tell us, or putting them together somehow we'll figure out whether or not the tank was full to start out with. Or if it was not full, we need to know how much was the content of the tank before we removed 200 gallons, because we know that once the 200 gallons were removed from the tank, what was left was 3/7 of the capacity. So let's look at the first statement. So this equation is not correct, because this equation assumes that we started out with a full tank, which we do not know that, which we do not know. Statement 1. It says, before the 200 gallons were removed, the volume in the tank was 1/2 of the capacity. There you go, voila. That's it. So it's the same equation that I just erased, which I shouldn't have erased. So here's the volume of the capacity. The tank was half full. Half of the capacity. The tank was half full. Here's the capacity, and half of the capacity of the tank was full, and then we removed 200 gallons. There you go. Then the 200 gallons were removed, and as a result, we are left with 3/7 of the capacity. But there you go. And the question simply is, what's the capacity? We do not know what the capacity is, because they're not actually asking you to figure out what the capacity is. The question is, do you have enough information now to figure out the capacity? The answer is yes. It's a simple linear equation. That's all it is. It's a simple linear equation. Of course we can figure out the capacity. Statement 1 by itself is enough. AD BCE. I forgot to do that. AD BCE. So statement 1 by itself is enough. We established just now. The answer cannot be B, C, or E. It would have to be either A or D. The part that I'm about to do is something that I will not do in the real exam, nor will you. I'm just going to figure out what the capacity actually is. And what I'm going to do actually is to bring this in a little bit so that I can do the second statement on the other side. So 1/2 of the capacity minus the 200 equals 3/7 of the capacity. Let's multiply the whole equation by 14. So if I multiply the whole equation by 14, 7c minus 14 times 2 is 2800. And this would be 6c. Bring the 6c here. Well, there you go. Bring the 6c here and $2,800. It's very simple. It's only 2 steps. That's it. There is nothing to it. It's a very simple linear equation. Let's look at the second equation. Let's look at the second statement. Let's see if the second statement by itself also does the job. Second statement says, after 200 gallons were removed, the volume of the tank. After the 200 gallons were removed, the volume of the oil left in the tank was $1,600 less. 1,600. I don't know why I see dollars everywhere. Was 1,600 gallons less than the tank's capacity. There you go. After the 200 gallons were removed, the volume of the oil left in the tank was 1,600 gallon less than the capacity. So if this is the capacity, it was 1,600 less than that after the 200 gallons were removed. After the 200 gallons were removed, but that putting the $200 after the 200 gallons were removed was not the point here. What was left was 1,600 less than the capacity. This is the capacity, and it's 1,600 less than that. And we are also told in the top of the problem that this portion, 1,600 less than the capacity, represents 3/7 of the capacity. If you read the problem on the top again one more time, which is where we got this from. It says, again I'm going to read the top part. When 200 gallons of the oils were removed from the tank, the volume of the oil left in the tank was 3/7 of the tank's capacity. There you go. We do the same thing that we did here. Let's multiply everything by 7. So 7c equals 7 times 1600. Not equals. 7c minus 7 times 1600 equals 3c. Bring the 3c here. So 4c equals 7 times 1600. Let's divide both sides by 4. There you go. 7 times 4 is 20. Oh, there you go. 7 times 4. 7 times 4 equals 2800. Because we have these two zeros here. That's all. What I'm trying to point out here is that the informations are always consistent. If based on the, so second statement by itself also is enough, by the way. So the answer here is D. But the work that I did here for two reasons. First, actually just for the sake of doing it, because had it been a multiple choice question, and if you were required to figure out the capacity of the tank, would you be able to do it? You have to be able to do it, obviously. So it doesn't hurt to actually practice, because right now we're doing it for practice, for learning purposes. In the real exam, we won't actually solve for C. We would be quick enough, we would be smart enough to immediately tell the people that this is a simple linear equation. Of course we can solve for C. So second statement by itself is enough. First statement by itself is also enough. Because again, this is a simple linear equation. As you saw, it only took 2 steps. Here also, just 2-3 steps, that's all. But the second thing that I was trying to point out here is that, as you can see, the capacity turned out to be 2,800 gallons. Capacity here turned out to be 2,800 gallons. It is always consistent. If the first statement, if the work that you did, based on the work that you did on the first statement, you found that the capacity of the tank was 2,800 gallons, and you do the work based on the information that is given in the second statement, and all of a sudden you find the capacity of the tank now is all of a sudden 2,500 gallons or 3,000 gallons, something has gone wrong. Something is fishy. Sometimes when something is fishy, sometimes it's very difficult. When fish has gone rotten, it just smells fishy. It's very difficult to figure out which bit of the fish has gone rotten. You just have to throw away the whole fish and start all over again. Do you understand? Sometimes it takes time just to start all over again and trying to figure out where you made the mistake. But something has gone rotten, something has gone fishy. If the work in the two statements, statement 1 and statement 2, do not agree with each other, do not pan out, do not substantiate each other. Whatever you found in the first statement, in the second statement should be the same thing. If the Michael was 6-year-old based on the first statement, Michael is not going to be 270 years old based on the second statement. Do you understand? Of course, I exaggerate, because if that were to happen, you would suspect something. Michael is a bit too old. Anyway, that was the end of it. I hope you found it helpful. If you wish to get hold of me for personal private tutoring, I do face-to-face tutoring. I also tutor over the internet via Skype, and I tutor over the telephone. It does work. Try it out if you like for a session, see how it goes. If you wish to get hold of me for personal private tutoring, as I said, go to my website, or for if you need help with any aspect of the preparation in GMAT, go to my website at www.for gmat.com and send me an email. Or you can go to www.keshwaniprep.com and send me an email and we'll talk. Alright? Thanks.